We are going to start off with a talk now. And one of the things that we wanted to do today, obviously, was, apart from just being here to support each other, well, for everyone also to learn something. And we're going to start off with somebody who I think is very interesting. We have a talk called 1,000 naira moin to serving Michelle Obama. And by the round of applause, I know that you know, I'm about to bring up the lovely Miss Ayo Megbope. A big round of applause. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I am feeling very, very excited this morning. I have met amazing people. I'm excited to be here with the convener. Well done. Can you celebrate her and her husband? Thank you so much for putting this together. And I've met Ms. Fraser and, of course, Mr. Larry Olushola. Thank you for what you do. I just asked him, I said, do you sleep at all? Because he's always doing one thing or the other. And then our lovely lady, thank you so much. And then, of course, for the moderators, you've done an excellent job so far. Well done. I have 15 minutes, and I'm just wondering, how am I going to share this story in 15 minutes? But I know a lot of you have heard. So I'll just touch on areas that I think we need to hear. Let me start by saying that I'm excited about the theme, when women win, and it's not when a woman wins. That's what this is all about. We're talking about togetherness. We're talking about collaboration. We're talking about getting there together. And I want you to know that there are great opportunities out there for each and every one of us. I remember that the way I was about 10 years ago is not the way I am now. Because at that time, I wasn't filled with as much knowledge as I'm filled with now. I wasn't filled with as much opportunities that I am filled with now. And that is why I know that there's some of us here who would look at ourselves and wish we had greater opportunities than we have right now. But let me let you know that the first step to reaching to the top is by taking advantage of the opportunities at your disposal. The opportunities at your disposal right now might not look like anything, but trust me, all you need is to take advantage of just one of those opportunities. I always try to talk about how old I was at the time when everything looked very bleak and as if nothing was going to happen. I like to talk about my failures. Sometimes people don't like to talk about their failures. They're shy to talk about their failures. But it's important to let people know that your failures are part of your story. They're part of the steps you take to get to the top. I was raised by wonderful parents, and I had great opportunities that I didn't take advantage of for so many reasons. Some as a result of carelessness, some as a result of circumstances I couldn't handle. But I got to a point when I realized that there was no point holding on to the past. There was absolutely nothing I could do about the past. And so you're here today and you're bombarded by the nasty things you've been put through in the past or the nasty things you have done by yourself in the past. May I let you know that it's time to forget the past. The earlier you forget the past, the faster you get to your destination. It was a conclusion I had to get to. I had to forget about everybody that had hurt me. I had to forget about the things that I should have done that I didn't do. And then when I tried to move on, there are times when you have come to that point and you just try to move on, and then you're bombarded with thoughts. Thoughts like, oh my goodness, I have wasted so much time. Thoughts like, how old am I? How will I get there? Thoughts like seeing young people attaining such great heights, and you're like, how am I going to walk? How is this going to happen for me? I went through all of those things, and I thank God that God gave me the grace and courage to forget about every other thing, forget about my age, forget about all the negatives, and just leverage on all the good things He was doing in my life. Sometimes you think as a woman that fulfillment comes as a result of marriage or comes as a result of having children. I was happily married, and I'm still happily married to the glory of God. I had children, but I was not fulfilled. There was a void, there was an emptiness, there was something that kept telling me that, Ayo, you're more than this. And I'm telling every woman in the room, no matter how highly you have attained, you're still more than this. I keep telling myself, even today, no matter how much is being said about me out there, no matter how much I have accomplished, there's still more to my life than this. And so I was there wondering how I was going to pick up the pieces of my life at 40. I had walked, and I was still walking at that time, but I wanted something more. I wanted to do something with my hands. I decided to take the bold step. And be careful right now, so you don't just leave this hall and go resign. Yeah, because so many people have heard me, and they've said to me that, oh, when I leave here, I'm going to resign. And I'm like, slam the brakes, wait a minute, count the cost, and make sure it's the right time. All of this discomfort didn't start at the time I resigned. All of this discomfort started about 2 years before. But then I was just thinking to myself, what would I do? What can I do? And I didn't have the prerequisite education at that time. I didn't have, of all my siblings, I was the only one that didn't go to university at that time. So there were so many things haunting me, and there were so many things that appeared as limitations. But I just decided to take a bold step. I had worked in a school for so many years, and I just felt that, okay, now that I've worked in a school, and I had really enjoyed working in the school, well, maybe I should just open a daycare center. It appeared very, very safe. You know, I wasn't going to open a school. I just felt, okay, a daycare center. At least I could retire into that. And after resigning, I went for training. But after I went through the training, as much as I love children, I concluded that I wasn't ready to take it up as a business venture. And so no matter how much you love, you are passionate about something. You know, it's something to be passionate about something. It's another thing to be ready to take it up as a business venture. So they're two clearly distinct things. And I realized at that time that, look, if I've been deceiving myself all these years, 40 is not an age to deceive myself. Remember what they say about 40? They say a fool at 40 is a fool forever. And it was time for me to break that jinx over my head. And so I went back. And at that point, the only person I could trust to share my dreams with was my husband, because I had been mocked, I'd been laughed at for so long, and I just needed to stay safe with people who believed in me. And so you're here today. I don't know who the people are that have laughed at you. I think it's time that you walk away from such people. You need to walk and move with people who will encourage you to go out there and be all that God has ordained for you to be. And I thank God I found that person. I found that person in the person of my husband, and he believed in me. But it didn't appear as if things were going to change. You know, sometimes we're so hopeful, and we wake up in the morning and expect that something dramatic would happen. I expected something dramatic would happen on that day, but it didn't happen the way I expected. It was a day that I started with tears, because I just knew that we had no resources even to eat. Then I walked up to my husband, and I asked if he had anything for us to make food with. I remember him giving me 1,000 naira. That brought tears to my eyes. My husband was and is still a full-time pastor. And I said to myself, in my heart, he's obviously living in denial, because I wondered why he would be smiling while giving me that 1,000 naira. I wanted to give him the, you know, women, what we call the length of our tongues. But then, I'm glad that I remembered what my mother told me years ago. That anytime you're upset with your husband, try to take an imaginary glass of water. Don't swallow it. Keep it in your mouth until the anger abates. God graced me to be able to do that. But that day, my priority was to be a solution provider. What could I do with the situation at hand? At least I had something. It wasn't much, but I had something. And so I'm telling everybody here today, you have something. Everybody has something. You know, but so many times we're looking at what the others have, and we feel it's nothing compared to them, to theirs, and so we hide and bury them. And it's so tough even today with social media. You see what people are posting, you see what they are wearing, you see what they are doing, and you just say, woe is me. Where do I start from? But that day, I thought within myself, preparation is the eye that sees opportunities. I knew that I needed to prepare something. And I just prepared moin. I didn't have any plan. I just wanted to do the right thing, to support my husband and ensure my children ate, not knowing that it was a day of visitation. There's always a day of visitation for everybody. But the thing is, sometimes we don't know it. We're not prepared for it, so we're not even looking out for it. Opportunities pass us every day. And that day, I faced another examination because my sister-in-law walked into the house in the evening. I thought the aroma of the moin had gone. I didn't know it was still lingering in the room. And my heart broke when she asked for what was smelling. And when I told her and she asked for a wrap, my heart sank even deeper because I had calculated how long that moin would last us. But you know, I said something where I spoke yesterday. I said, just be nice. You're just 1, 2, 3 people away from your destiny. You're 1, 2, 3 people away from your destination. And when you don't release, you never have anything coming back to you. That was a tough lesson to learn that day. Because on tasting my moin, my sister-in-law became excited. You know, sometimes we're able to do things and we don't even realize the value until somebody tells us that this that you're able to do is adding value to my life. My sister-in-law, who was a working class woman, who didn't have problems with money, found value in the moin I was able to prepare. And she asked how much it cost, what would cost me to make for her. When I told her 1,000 naira, she laughed. You mean all this stress for 1,000 naira? But when she gave me that money, it meant a great deal to me. And I made for her the next day, and I gave friends. And that's how NoLeftOvers started. There was no form, no comeliness. I didn't even know anything could come out of it. But because I saw 1,000 naira multiply into 2,000 naira, 2,000 naira into 5,000 naira, 5,000 naira into 20,000 naira, I knew that something was about to happen. Now listen, you might be in a business or a trade, or you might be in a place of employment, and nothing significant is coming from there. But listen, if you're able to identify the show, you will see the baby. Before a woman has a baby, the show comes forth. If she despises the show, the baby will die. I'm grateful to God that I didn't despise the show of building the business from 1,000 naira to that point, until it got to a point I needed to get to other places to sell. From place to place, I started to go. I went to churches. Until then, everybody said to me, we still have more and more in the freezer. And then it was, where would I go? And then I heard God saying, his nice, still, gentle voice, go to the place you last walked. And I'm like, Satan, the blood of Jesus is against you. I said, the God that I serve is not a God that will bring me to shame. He says, for your shame, you will receive double. I quoted all manner of scriptures, but God was still speaking in his still small voice. The road to greatness starts from the point of humility. I remember humbling myself that morning and going to the gate of the school and shouting at the top of my voice. It wasn't a trending thing to do, but I shouted because I knew that I needed to sell all the moin on that day. I had people my age who came to pick children from school. I had people younger than me, but it didn't matter. Listen, you're running your race. I realized at that time that I needed to face my lane. I realized that if I crossed the lane, I would not be able to get to my destination. And I kept focused. I screamed and screamed, moin for sale. Buy this moin, your life will not remain the same again. Reactions were different. Some laughed, some were alarmed, some were feeling sorry for me. I didn't care. All I cared about was that I was selling. And for the next 2-3 months, I was at the gate of that school until another season came. Listen, the best time to prepare for your next season is in the season you are in. And all the time of standing at that gate opened me up to opportunities that I never knew could add anything to my life. I remember a woman walking by me, and I went to her. She had bought moin from us before. And she looked at me almost with disdain, but I was not moved. Listen, why do you focus on how people look at you? Focus on what you have to offer. If you offer them and they do not want, walk to the next person. But that day, thank God, I wasn't moved by the look of that woman. I was moved by what was inspiring me. I was moved because I had seen the moin grow from 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 50,000. And so I had gotten to the point of no return. I had gotten to the point where I didn't care what people said anymore. But because I knew that I was making progress, I knew I was pressing for progress, I continued. You know, the Bible says that do not look at their faces. Just focus on what you have to do. And ironically, as I approached the woman that day, she said to me, oh, wow, you make moin. Well, do you make other foods? Oh, yes, and at that time I'd started making other foods. How did the ability to make those foods come? Oh, they came because people started asking for me to make things like soups like oha and afang and edikaikong. I couldn't afford to go to a catering school. But hey, when I started taking those orders, I began to meet destiny helpers. Destiny helpers who were not dressed in suits or in gowns. Destiny helpers who were dressed in torn shirts and wrapper in the market. Destiny helpers of women who were selling ugu, stockfish, and all of the likes, who said to me, I will teach you how to make afang. I will teach you how to make edikaikongs. Oh, I remember one of the women said to me, oh, you're a Yoruba girl. You're married to an Igbo or Calabar man. They want to take your husband. They will not fit. And you know, I was just amazed at how God used my desperation to just show me favor in places that mattered. So all of those things had started happening before I met this woman. And the woman said to me, oh, I have an oil service company. Can you cater? And I looked at the woman. I said, yes, I can. She said, oh, but there's one thing, because I can see you're Yoruba. Can you make afang? Can you make edikaikong? Remember, I had gone to the school of the marketplace to learn how to make those things. And of course, I answered in the affirmative, and I got the job. That's how I left the gate to start serving in an A-seat office. It was a big deal to me. Listen, your progress might not be a big deal to somebody, but you've got to celebrate it. Because it's in celebrating your baby steps that you'll begin to take giant steps. But I wasn't done. That wasn't enough for me. I was still hungry to be able to take back all that the devil had stolen from me. I desired to go back to school. And it was no wonder that God gave me the opportunity as I was able to apply for a program at the Enterprise for Development Center. A program tagged the 10,000 women that was sponsored by Goldman Sachs in the US. I was taken on the program, and on graduation, we had a delegation from Goldman Sachs come to Nigeria. And as they listened to my story, they found my story very impressive. And they said, Ayo, can we come to your office? At that time, all the cooking was taking place in my kitchen. They came to my office, and that was a turning point. Sorry, they came to my home, and that was a turning point in my life. Shortly after about 2 months after they left, I got a letter. Ayo, you're an amazing speaker. You're an amazing woman. You're a resilient woman. Can you come to the US? Would you want to represent other women in the US? And I'm like, I'll check my diary. You know, when the Lord talks about the captivity of Zion, it's like a dream. My journey was revisited. My story began to be rewritten. And that's how I began to move from one place to the other, receiving invitations from kings and queens. 2016 is a year I can never forget. And I'm rounding off with this because I'm sure my time is up. 2016, I received a letter saying, we're having a program in the US themed the United States of Women. And you'll be speaking on this platform with Warren Buffett and other leaders. I thought that was the icing on the cake. I rejoiced as I left, only for me to, while preparing to leave, they said to me, we need the recipe of your moin because we're going to serve moin at the dinner. And alas, the time for the dinner came close, and they said to me, there's one more thing we didn't tell you. We want you to be the one to invite Michelle Obama, and of course, you present your moin to her. It could only be God. I remember standing in that green room, waiting for Michelle Obama to come, and then at the same time pinching myself and saying, God, if this is a dream, please don't wake me up from it. I remember Michelle Obama walking up to me, and Michelle Obama said, Ayo, you are an inspiration. That was simply unforgettable for me. And as I presented my moin to Michelle, and Michelle ate it, and she said, Ayo, this is delicious. I said, God, you have made me a city on a hill, and I cannot be hidden. I'm here to tell you today, this program has not been packaged for any other reason, but to let you know that there's something in you, to let you know that you're a blessing to generation, to let you know that there are old dreams that you need to rebuild. Today, I'm grateful to God for the children God has given us. Children who have had their experiences. Children who have had their fear of failure, but have risen to the top. And I'm here today, still on the same platform, and still asking God, what next? You know my prayer? My prayer is that one day I will hear your story. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.